We thought it was as bad as it could get. Massive fires killing adorable koalas across Australia. Gas plants exploding in Nigeria. The great toilet paper shortages. COVID-19. Having to wear or not wear masks and being assaulted for wearing or not wearing a mask. Murder hornets. The sudden discovery that dryers are portals to hell for bad left socks. And the surprise presidential victory of Kanye West, who wasn't even running. We thought 2020 was as bad as it could get. We were wrong. In the beginning of 2021, the 9th generation of consoles was released. The Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. No one was prepared for the fallout. No one could predict how bad things could be. The console wars began. Like all war, it didn't start with a bang, but a Twitter. Months leading up to the release, console loyalists hurled insults and memes at one another across the forums and comment sections around the internet. As stats and hardware became known and games were announced, it turned into a frenzy of basement dwellers with stained underwear demanding that they, and only they, knew the true path of gaming. A small minority tried to tell them, warned them, that it was about the games, that you could own more than one console. But their warning fell on deaf ears. Launch day came, and the riots broke out. Steve Stevenson of Dubuque, Iowa, was the first fatality. He was purchasing an Xbox when a gang of fivers came and beat him to death with their DualShock controllers. From there it escalated. Christmas and New Year's Eve were canceled. The United States, Great Britain, and now what was left of the European Union declared martial law. All too late. The sides were chosen. The battle lines drawn. War was upon us. Economies collapsed, families torn apart as they sided with the Fivers or the X-Boys. The world would never be the same. Coming to you next year, to your very reality. The console wars. The battle of solid-state drives.
Welcome to the Crashed While Loading podcast.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Video games,
Well, excuse me, princess.
movies and TV,
Don't worry, Professor. I was an accident, too.
half-assed reviews,
Just as I suspected. Hollow!
and everything else.
Gee, Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
Stop. We need to go on a quick adventure. Hello, everybody. Coming to you from behind my tinfoil microphone with my entire brain tied behind my back just to make it fair.
This is Crash While Loading. It's good to have you here. I am Ashen Phoenix, one of your hosts, and with me today is Jazz,
Hello!
Yunfei,
Hello.
and in a minute, Sib, and probably eventually Ben. We don't know about, what's the other one? What's his face?
The king of RP world, you mean?
No.
The president, excuse me.
Yeah, the president could say we don't have this is this is not a monarchy. This is a duly elected representative government. And by that I mean it was pretty much rigged because he voted for himself several times. Oddly enough, exactly like most representative governments. Looking at you, Venezuela. Looking
Yep.
at you, Kim Jong-un. Looking at you, Iran. Looking at you. Oh, wow, this is just going to go on forever. So anyway, how's everybody doing this weekend? Everyone have a good time? Have a good 2 weeks since our last show?
Not really.
Good!
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Crap. that was.
I mean,
that
yes,
was not the
fantastic.
that was not the positive upbeat answer. I was.
No, it's just been super busy, like nonstop.
No, there's nothing going on. I don't know what could possibly be keeping you busy. I mean, I know. It's because you were so excited about all the Xbox stuff that came out.
Yeah, sure.
That was it. And you were, I know it. You were also excited. No, I can't think of anything else now at this point. It's pretty much done. Yeah, that was it. The Xbox stuff was peak. So I had fun yesterday waiting outside of our house for over 5 hours, locked out because the power went out. Our garage door didn't open, because it takes power. And my wife and I both thought we had keys to the house on our key rings, and guess what they were? Yeah, those weren't the keys to our house. They were. We know one was a key to a lock on a gate, which wasn't even locked, and the other one, I have no idea what it goes to. So we couldn't get in for 5 hours, and that sucked because we wanted to be inside, and where it wasn't outside. On account
it was
of
hot yesterday too.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad if you were able to stay in the shade and then not move, like stop all breathing, stop your circulatory system. Or if you didn't have groceries in the car. She's Sib's on her way. Which she had, of course, she went after work like a responsible person and got groceries. And one of those things was like milk and cold vegetables. And so we had to go get a bag of ice to keep that stuff done and keep the car running, for 5 hours, which is always good. And then it did it again today, which is why we weren't even sure if the show was going to go on, because exactly at 1 o'clock, like yesterday, some cable burned out or something or other. I don't know.
It sounds to me like they're shutting stuff off to fix stuff.
It could be. It also just could be incompetence.
As they tried to sell that shit to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, so every night at midnight, you just miraculously have a problem?
See, yeah, at least if it was at midnight, I'd make sense. But this is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's not just a chunk. Like, I don't live out where Jazz does, where like the closest person to me is someone that plays a banjo. and that's an hour drive. Jazz is out in the middle of nowhere. I'm pretty close to a major metropolitan city. Hey, there's Sib.
Hello. There she is.
Hello.
And introducing Sib.
Hello.
There, see, like, this is a late introduction, but yeah, it's a giant chunk of like Tulsa, which I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that small Oklahoma town. That's the second biggest one in our state. So yeah, they're not going to get they're not going to get away with this. Which is now owned
by the Native Americans. Congratulations.
Which has been an interesting thing, because who was that? Oh, there was somebody. He is Native American, but the cops had just spent over a year building a case on this guy, and I forget what it was, but he's a dirty dude. He was laundering money and stealing, and like had a theft ring.
And he said they couldn't touch him because it was Indian land.
Yeah, well, no, that was the one that did that. He was a pedophile, which is totally different. That guy, I'm sure you can guess, for some reason thought the Native American tribes would be like, oh, well, he's a pedophile, and we're Indians, so we'll let that slide. Yeah, I don't know if you know the history of some of the tribes around here, but I don't think that's going to work out the way you think it's going to work out.
Oh, they'll accept you.
Oh,
they'll even throw you a party.
I'm perfectly willing to let the tribal law go after him, because their laws are not like U.S. laws, and their punishment is not like U.S. punishment. He won't sit in a prison for 15 years eating steaks and mashed potatoes. So I hope he gets everything he deserves. The other guy was just a money launderer guy, but the whole case had to be hundreds of man hours, all that, and they don't know what they can do with it now because he doesn't fall under U.S. law anymore. But I don't know. I just want to know if I'm supposed to keep paying taxes, to be honest, now that I do technically live on an Indian reservation. You don't understand the struggles of my people.
So what I'm hearing is I could actually knock you off and say, because I'm Indian, it's okay.
Well, to be
The scales
fair,
have swung the other way,
It's okay.
girl.
Because I'm Indian and you aren't, so it's okay. It's all good.
like Elizabeth Warren, I identify as Indian. I am 1/4000th Indian from the Slapaho tribe. And if you keep it up, you're going to find out what that means.
Wow.
Wow.
I have to say,
Dude.
And 5 minutes in, we've already offended an
Everybody.
entire race of people.
Not the entire race.
Really?
Well, I'm sure there's some people that don't care. You know, like my wife. Yeah.
I think
What?
she's numb. What's
No,
that
I
called?
think
When you kidnap somebody, they eventually fall in love with you?
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. There we go.
No,
I think there's
she
a
doesn't
pillow
have
with
that.
his name on it. Not just for the Indian thing.
Ironically, we do have my pillows, so technically, I mean, it is mine. So yeah. But so anyway, that was fun being locked out of our own house. So how about what's everyone up to? I see. I want to go with Yunfei. I'm going to go with Yunfei first because
Wow.
right, I know. It's because Jazz is boring. Well,
Man, I don't know what to do now. This is
know, right?
unprecedented.
it's also because she's watched a couple episodes of Umbrella Academy, and I want to get what she says about it first. What you digging? You dig?
I do. I dig very
Okay,
much.
Good.
I
Okay, that's what I
laugh-
wanted to know.
And
wanna
you
know.
dig it.
Yeah.
Klaus makes me laugh so much. I
don't
like. He's
know.
probably my favorite character. I think.
Yeah, he's.
'Cause
I
he's just so ridiculous.
I'm pretty fond of Fives, the kid. He's
5 is awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5. That's it. Fives. Boo. But
No,
yeah,
no fucks given there.
I think I'm gonna have to. If I can talk Sib into it, we're gonna have to watch season 1 because I think she would really enjoy it, and then we can watch season 2.
It's really good. Like
she likes superhero
initially,
stuff.
I had Umbrella Academy the first season. I'd had it on my list for a bit,
Mhm.
and then when I finally watched it, like it was way better than it had any right to be.
Didn't you burn through it in like almost one day?
Like 2 days, yeah.
Yeah.
I could not stop watching it.
See, so Sib and I have homework. That's what I'm hearing.
Homework.
Yeah. I'm
Yay!
pacing myself now, though.
But hey, at least we can do it from the comfort of inside our house because we can get in now. We got keys made.
Not-
What else? What else did you watch?
Forlornly through the window. I watched the movie The Old Guard with Charlize Theron.
I'm sorry. How do you say that name?
Charlize.
Like Shalala and Theron?
No, oh my God. Charlize. It's
Right.
easy.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying. Shazbot Theron.
Close enough.
Close enough. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what'd you think of it?
I liked it more than I expected that I would.
Yeah.
It was another one of those movies where I feel like I wouldn't have complained if there were more story.
Like another half hour or something like that?
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah. And how about that?
Their backstories.
And how
stuff.
about Dudley, huh?
I didn't even realize it didn't even click.
Even after I'd said it. In that
Even
last
after you
show.
told me,
Yeah.
it didn't click.
Yeah, he was a good villain. He's a good guy. Or, I mean, he's not a good guy. He's a terrible guy. But he's a good actor that plays a bad guy that's probably really a good guy. You dig? Sib?
Can you dig it?
There we go. So, and what's this about Animal Crossing now?
Well, Animal Crossing just had a big update for the summer. And they introduced something called the Dream Suite, which is where you can visit anyone's island without them having to be online. And anything you do to that island, like you can dig as many holes as you want, run through and smash the flowers, and it won't affect their island.
So before they had to be online, and if you did anything on their island, you did something to their island?
Yes.
Okay,
But
so
now
that
it's
that
like
explains
a copy.
a lot of the angry people I saw talking about people visiting their island.
Yeah. But now
Okay.
it's they kind of upload it to a cloud.
Yeah.
And then you visit the island on the cloud. So you can, while you're there, you can download their whatever custom designs they have and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I thought it was really cool.
No, that seems
apparently
like a
it's
pretty huge
something-
update.
Yeah. Well, there's also a bunch of other stuff that I haven't even gotten into.
That's good.
There's like new items and
Huh.
decorative things, and apparently when you're running around, you can just trip and splat on your face, which
Oh,
is
so-
pretty funny.
So they channeled my daughter. Gotcha. Yeah. What were you doing when you fell? I was sitting down and being still.
Oh yeah, this girl. Okay, she come over to work out the other day because she had a
jeez.
baby 7 months ago, and she's hoping to get back into shape. So we have an
Round
exercise
into
bike.
shape.
Well, she wants to enjoy her curves, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, she wants to be
But
thick,
she just
but
wants
she
to
wants
be healthy.
thick
Yeah.
toned.
She doesn't want to have to go through what I went through. So we have an exercise bike upstairs, and those exercise bikes are so... I don't know who thought they should put, like, spikes on the wheels or the pedals. Who thought
What the
to
heck?
put spikes on the
Because
pedals?
it keeps your shoes in there supposedly. I just think it hurts, so I don't get it. But
And our daughter
don't
would
either.
agree. And so would
Because,
the blood.
yeah, she sits on it, knowing there's spikes on the pedals, and stops pedaling, pushes one pedal back, and the other one goes straight down her shin. From knee to ankle, just
Ow.
a layer of skin gone. And I'm like, what were you thinking? I wasn't.
Yeah, and it's not like, like our bike pedals, they always had little nodules and stuff, like Jazz said, to hold it. This thing looks like it came out of Mad Max. It's not like bike pedals, it's like razor blades. There's a
Yeah.
there's a hubcap that's been cut into a ninja star on it for some reason.
I'm
It's
like-
awful.
Oh,
And the great thing is that it's not one of those ones that uses a chain. It's a giant metal wheel, so it doesn't have that, like, when you stop pedaling it, like tick, 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 and the wheel keeps going and the pedals stop. If you stop pedaling, the wheel keeps going, and so do the pedals, unless you physically stop them. And it's heavy. It's a heavy giant chunk of metal wheel. So yeah, it was.
yeah, it took a heavy giant chunk out of her leg.
Are you sure it's an actual exercise bike and not some weird
I think
item from the adult part of Amazon or something?
Yeah.
Right?
'Cause
Well,
you
that
never
would
know.
that would explain the missing seat.
You know what? I think it was a prop from Saw, to be honest.
Saw. There you go.
There you go.
Want to play a game?
Just name it.
Yeah, I think I heard that in the background while we were exercising.
I'm trying to think of something clever, but I got nothing. So,
Walk away, hun.
Yeah.
Walk away.
well, he always launches into those. Everyone thinks that when you ride a bike that it's only for your benefit. But what if it benefited others? Because you only ride for a personal experience. When you ride this bike, it chops the heads off of Cabbage Patch Kids or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, see, there you go. Cabbage Patch. Ugh, creepy little fat-faced freakos. Too close to hobbits. So, all right, Jazz. I guess we'll see what you've been doing. What have you been up to?
Jazz. We're cheering.
Okay, so Summer Slowdown is here. For those of my guildies that might be listening in ESO, from ESO, please, for the love of God, calm down.
The guild
No
is
need to
ending.
panic.
The world is over. Close down the game and delete the files.
2020 has hit again.
Every single year, summer hits, and people are like, roleplay is dying. It's over. I have nothing left. It's like, well, trust me. It's all going to come back in about a month. Just breathe. It's going to be fine. And you remember we used to have a PSA in June, first week of
EverQuest,
June.
yep.
Every year in EverQuest 2, we would have a guild-wide thing, and every 2 or 3 hours I would post this paragraph that basically said the world is not ending, roleplay is slowing down, it's going to get a lot slower, find something else to do. Nobody's going to be mad at you.
I remember that.
Everything's fine. And people were like, why do you post that every year? For my own sanity.
Well, and even still, people are like,
And even still,
Is the
people would
guild dying?
spread.
Yeah.
They would tell people, oh, Silver Circle's dying. Nobody's logged on for days. People
is
would say,
not-
oh, I'm so sorry to hear about Silver Circle. What? What about Silver Circle? I hear the guild is just emptied out. No, it's July and it's slow. Like it is
Yeah.
every single year. And it never failed. There'd be at least one guild there. I've never slowed down in July.
Mm-hmm.
Well, goody two shoes for you. The rest of us have.
Yeah, I did. I will say I noticed my Imperial Guild. They have got double the numbers you have, and they've only got 3 more total. But also apparently they lost a major player, and a couple people were being bad, and they lost like the main love interest of 3 or 4 of their characters because of lots of personal. So no, that everything's fine here.
It also
How are
kind
you?
of ties in to drama. That there's always drama in June and July as things start to slow down, because people who have nothing else to do but play the game.
I was gonna say people are bored.
The people are bored. They've done all the content. You'd think after years and years and years of this, and I think we've most noticed it, that the games would release content in July. Wouldn't that make sense? Because that's the slowest time of year.
Well, you know what's funny is you say that, but it's not just MMOs that do that. July, like this part of the summer for games in general, just on consoles, is almost usually a barren wasteland.
Yeah.
Like right now, we have Ghosts of Tsushima that just came out, which is excellent. But like the AAA, like big titles, it's this 3-month period of like June, July, August. It's very, very sparse. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we were
And
supposed to have gotten something like Cyberpunk, and that got pushed back. But
Yep.
it's-
And my
it's
game,
still,
of course, which I was
yeah.
looking forward to playing this month.
Which
Yeah.
game? Which game was that? Now?
Shut up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a sensitive topic? I don't.
You know damn well it is.
Did you is it that one you pre-ordered? What was that new?
Yeah. And then they promptly canceled like 4 days after I pre-ordered it.
New Worlds.
New Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the middle of getting people sending me tells and people who are just simply not logging in right now, and people are like, I don't know what happened, something's wrong. It's like, no, it's July and August. Just chill. Everyone will be back. I promise. So, yeah. So me, I just watch a lot of TV and it's funny, I went back and looked at my history, right? In both in Hulu and Netflix. Guess which 4 months I watched the most TV?
Most stuff. November,
July and
December.
August.
Oh wow, I was way off.
And December, January.
Yeah, whenever.
Because those are the 2 slowest months for roleplay. And then I get bored, so I'll like go in game, but I'll have my TV on in the background watching stuff. And like I'm back playing Fallout 76. After Jason had to help me, but I did get the chat mod installed. That was no small feat, by the way. But it's now working exactly like I want it to. So I'm happy. I can't wait to try it and see how I like it. They have a basically not zone chat, global chat.
Yeah,
which is, not disappointingly terrible.
Well, there's only so many people per world on that game too, isn't it? Like
that's true, but they're all idiots. So,
look at the game you're playing.
I had to go in to this little file, and because you can't just because it's a mod, there's no button to uncheck global.
Yeah.
So you have to go into the INI file and say no. I don't want this one. I don't want this one. And so it's shut off. So I can't even see it anymore because within 5 minutes, I was so mad I was about ready to log just by looking at it because I couldn't shut it off. So so much for that. But I did get it installed. So I'm looking forward to being able to roleplay in Fallout 76 with my friends. And that should be interesting.
But
because I do enjoy it a little bit.
It has voice chat. You could just do that.
Yeah, no.
What?
My voice is not, no. Absolutely not. Anyway.
I'm a strong, independent man in the military.
Yeah.
I'm a dainty little gal. I like ponies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm dainty. Yeah, I don't sound dainty, and I'm not dainty. Anyway. So that was the other thing. I'm also watching on Hulu. I had to think for a second.
Hulu.
A show called The Glades, which turns out to be really funny, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's just enough serious to keep me interested. It's got the whole CSI thing, sort of crime solving thing in there. But the guy is freaking hilarious. He reminds me of the guy that played and he was in something called Rookie, and he's been in a half a dozen other shows that I like.
Yeah.
And whatever his name is, he's hilarious, and I love him. And this guy reminds me a lot of his role play, his acting style. So I really enjoy.
Yeah,
that.
it's funny is I saw you put it on the notes as a new thing, and I'm like, The Glades. I swear I remember seeing movie. It was.
Oh, it's an old one.
It's 2013. I remember seeing the previews for it in movie theaters before the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think
to me it's new. I meant it's not
right.
a new series, but that is new to me.
Do you mean the guy? Did you say The Rookie with Nathan?
Yeah.
Fillion? Nathan Fillion is who you mean.
He reminds me of Nathan Fillion. It's not Nathan Fillion, but he reminds me of the same kind of style that he often has when he plays. Kind of serious, this nonchalant, very cute, charming.
I think his name is Matt Passmore, according to this.
And I really like him. I'm going to look
As
for some
Jim
other things that he's been in.
Longsworth. Wow.
Yes, he's hilarious. I love this show. Yeah. So, and it's funny because it takes place in Tampa. So this is really funny for me because I used to live there.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that you see in this show, I'm like, yep, that's Tampa. Yep.
And a lot of the stuff we see, a lot of stuff other people see in this show, they're like, yep, that's the headlines from Florida.
It's really funny. The stuff on that show, and Tampa was such a trip for me that when I lived there. So it was really funny to see. I didn't actually figure it out right away because it doesn't say Tampa anywhere. Not openly.
It's like androgynous Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, but they mentioned certain areas.
Right.
Within the show, and I went, wait a minute.
They're in Tampa.
And I went and looked, and it was like, oh, it's in Tampa. Duh. How could I have missed that? But
we just don't have the rights to say Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, I think that may be it. They can't say it, but they do everything but say Tampa.
It's trademark. Tampa's
Disney
trademark.
own Tampa?
I don't think that's actually a thing you can do with a major city, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. All I know is they haven't said a word about the actual Tampa, Florida. So I didn't catch it right away. But then they started talking about some of the smaller cities, and I know where they all are. And I was like, wait a minute. This is Tampa. They're in Tampa. And I went and a couple of the scenes that you see are some places that I've been. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
To see it, but they don't actually they don't use like Sarasota. They just use the little tiny towns. So,
well, it's
interesting.
It's probably because their biggest shame is that one serial killer got away for so long, and he was a blood splatter detective right under their nose the entire time, and he was a serial killer. It just, he looked good in really tight long sleeve shirts and all that, and that's great. But I mean, they let him get away with that forever before they finally got him.
I still haven't watched the end of that one.
Yeah, I hear the last several seasons of Dexter just falls off of a cliff.
Yeah, they just fall off a cliff, and I just couldn't even watch it anymore.
Yeah,
I know how it ends, so I was just like, I know it'll happen.
True Blood, the other show they did that came out about that same time, also did the same thing. It started out pretty good, and then it was like, I
watched that show for one reason and one reason only.
Was it Eric?
Sookie.
It was in fact Alexander Skarsgård.
I knew it.
Me too.
Wait.
Yeah, I'm not into blondes, but that blonde I would be totally
Okay, so
into.
you're talking about Bill the vampire, not the werewolf.
No,
werewolf
Eric.
Guy? Is
Eric.
Is that the werewolf guy?
He's like the blonde vampire guy. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. I forgot about the third guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's the brother of the Skarsgård that plays the clown from
Yes.
It, right?
Yes.
Because there's not a lot of Skarsgårds out there in Hollywood, I would think.
He also has a father in Hollywood who is
right. That's
handsome too.
Yeah, it's like So okay, yeah, I forgot about the blonde guy. See, and I thought.
So anyway, that's what I've been doing.
Dark-haired werewolf
and
guy.
Getting medical tests and arguing with my pain levels. That's been, my whole 2 weeks.
That's been fun. I noticed someone was crabby. This last
I
little
was
bit.
a little crabby a couple of days because it's just been ridiculously high.
It's funny
For
too. Now
me.
that you say that, I can actually see. I can see in their face. I can see the kid from It, and I can see it in both of them now. The Skarsgård's family, like they do have a certain look about their features. Jazz's the girls are all stop talking because Sid
Oh,
put a
yes.
picture of Skarsgård without a shirt.
Oh, him. Yeah, he's the only reason I watch True Blood.
Yeah.
And like I said,
That's especially that little divot by his belly button. Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of blonde guys, but I would make an exception.
I am not entirely sure he's blonde.
It does look like a pretty
pretty
long past dye job to me. He's got a lot of dark roots
Yeah.
in his eyebrows.
There's
You know
only
what?
one way to
It's
tell,
okay.
and they're not going to show us. So I would say he's a dye job.
Actually, in that show, there's a pretty good chance you could find out for sure.
Oh, really?
True Blood was HBO, so yeah, they did not shy away from any of that stuff. No. Yeah, it didn't leave a lot to the imagination when they did scenes. Yeah.
See, and I don't remember anything on him, but I remember his butt.
Good to know.
Don't remember anything on him, but
His butt.
all
The
right.
butt got it.
Anyway,
So now that we're
Back.
done digging up shows from probably 12 years ago,
I'm going to go run a couple miles. I'll be right back.
when did that show come out? Now I'm curious.
His nipples are crooked.
Well, I think that's because he's at an angle.
I'm pretty sure they're crooked.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I'm pretty sure
This
that
is-
one's Photoshop.
This is not the hill I'm going to die on about what the symmetrical nature of somebody's nipples. But
You're welcome, Ashen.
I will die upon this hill. His nipples are perfect. They're perfect nipples. I've never seen such nipples in all my years, and I have 2 of them.
How's it feel to be on a show with 3 women?
3 women. It's-
You're welcome.
You know what's funny in gaming culture? This is probably the dream of a lot of lonely guys. I'm telling you here, it's hell. It is absolutely not what you pictured it as. And
It is a fantasy because they've never lived that way. So yeah.
And obviously they've never talked to gaming girls because they are they're like you people.
Yeah.
They're strong, independent, and annoying. They love
We
their-
love
what are you
you
trying
too.
to say? What are
and
you
they
trying to
love
say?
their man nipples. Also, that game
Just
came out in
because-
2008.
Oh no, I'm not going to say that on open mic. Never mind.
Mhm.
Nope.
Yep. So 2008 for True Blood. It feels like that came out. Does that not feel like? I mean, that's 12 years ago. That feels like forever ago now, doesn't it?
2008 should not have been that long ago, but
It
That's
does.
you know,
12 years
That
ago.
feels like
I
they're
just
really
had
freaking
that
old.
little boy. Remember when I had Xander?
Mhm.
I mean Nathan, when he was just a baby, and Zach, who you all remember for sure. Zach is going to be 10.
Yeah.
In
Oh my
2 months.
god!
Yeah, he's going to be 10 years old.
Yeah.
I remember that little baby.
I know, he was so cute.
Yeah. they
Yeah, he
grew
just
up and
rolls his
ruined it.
eyes at me now whenever I say that. It's like, Mom, stop.
He's
It's like, "But you were so-" And he's the highlight of my day was yesterday, by the way.
Yes, tell that story, please.
I have to tell you about this because it's just my pain. Okay, so my middle boy is still growing. He's gonna be 16 in a month. And he is 6'3", roughly. And
Oh.
he was wearing a size 16 shoe. When he blew them apart, because he's terrible on shoes, I had to go get him another one, and I ordered him a 16, and he said the other ones were too slender, get a extra wide. So I did. They were too small. They were too short, and they weren't wide enough. So I ordered him a 17 4E. They don't fit.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
So I just had to order him a size 17 6E shoes. I told him if they don't fit, you're wearing duct tape to school.
Okay, hold on. No,
Just so you know.
Don't tell us this. Don't tell us this part. Let us guess. How much did she have to spend to get those shoes?
Oh yeah, guess.
I don't even want to guess. Oh my god.
I'm gonna say $235.
God, no. Actually,
Okay,
I got a pretty good deal.
I'm
but
gonna lowball it. I'm gonna go with 96.
we were very
say,
close. It was 90.
I was gonna.
So,
Okay.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, wow, I was way off.
Whew.
Yeah, 90
You
bucks.
got
If he has to have custom made shoes, which is the next step, then yes, every
You're
pair of
looking
shoes he has will be $250 a piece.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Thank God for the internet, huh, Jazz? Because good luck finding
Oh.
that locally.
I know. I've tried because I
You'd
kept,
You'd
I've
have
tried
to drive
to find
into
shoes.
town past the banjos, the meth heads, the brothel, and go actually into Dubuque, Iowa, and actually try to get to
Oh,
a
I
store.
did have to go into a gun store that I have never set foot in before. That was fun. I could
Now-
hear the banjos playing. That was fun.
Depends on there's some gun stores are very nice, very professional. Other gun
They
stores
were very nice. Don't get me wrong, but I was freaked out about having to walk into this store that I have driven past for 20 years. Never been in there. They have
smell of
we
gunpowder
fix
in
cell
the morning.
phones, and it's a pawn shop, and it's a gun store, and it has this big angry military guy going raw with a gun, right? So I haven't been really hip to go in there, but I told you about my mom's gun, and I had to replace the grips. The screw that they sent along with the grips is too long, and I tried to use the Dremel and almost cut my hand off, and decided that I would just go get a shorter screw, right? How hard could that be? Okay, apparently these types of screws are very custom, and I couldn't get it at Menards, at Ace Hardware, nowhere. I went to 4 or 5 different stores. They all told me go to the gun store. I was like, I really don't want to go in there. I went in there, and he's like, he gets his tin snips, snip.
But
That's it. Why wouldn't the Dremel cut it? And he's like, well, it's very small, and you probably just didn't have the right angle. And if you're going to need another one, you're probably going to have to contact the manufacturer and have them send it to you.
yeah.
Oh.
And here's the thing.
I was like, fantastic.
Most gun store places, they actually are like that. They're super kind. They know a lot of people like you are nervous, especially first time people that go in there. I've never been into I've never met somebody that was like, "What do you mean? It's called a magazine, not a clip. What are you an idiot?" That happens on the internet a lot, but that's not from people that actually own gun
Well,
stores.
I have to say I was very impressed with them. They were, regardless of what I was expecting, were just super helpful, all of them, especially this young man
And also,
that was probably 20 years
snip, and
old.
it was done. That's pretty good.
I know, he just went and got a tin snip and was like, there you go. He says, if that's too short, well, I had basically ruined the screw anyway, so he cut it off where I had ruined
Right,
it. And
yeah,
he said,
he-
hopefully you didn't do it too early. But he was like, if not, send a message to the guy that sold you the grips, and he might have an extra one he'll send you.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
cool.
like, okay. So
Let's-
it was nice. So that was my little adventure.
Look at that.
was-
We
was
finally
going
talk
into the
about
gun
guns
store.
on the show, and Strafe's not here.
I know, right? He's going to be so irritated.
That's what you get for being on the highway, you loser. Visiting your family, probably, I assume. Instead of being here. Yeah, I guess actually that's
He's
probably
being
a
rude.
better use of his time. But so anyway, in video game news, so we'll switch over to that. Xbox had a pretty good week until they didn't. So Xbox showed off a whole bunch of stuff at their. I mean, I don't know what to call it. Everything's so fucked up with COVID. The companies are just like, instead of all this stuff that would have come out during like E3 and other trade shows like that, it's just like, we're gonna do a week of this or a weekend of this, and then they hope for the best. And this time, we finally got to see a lot of in-game stuff on Halo Infinite, which was Halo, and it was real impressive until it wasn't real impressive anymore. There was some graphical stuff that they showed, like on some of the aliens, that people just wrung them through the ringer. And
How come?
it, like, one of them was a character, I forget the character's name now, character from the previous generation of Halo, and the one on the last console actually looked a little better than the one on this one. And this is a generational gap. It's coming out, the stuff that came out on this generation, what comes out on next should look better. not muddier, and the textures were kind of bleh. I mean, I didn't pay too much attention. I was like, oh, that guy looks a little, but I didn't realize he was from. I'm not a big Halo fan. Like Sib's a bigger Halo fan than I am. But people are like, yeah, that's not a good look on your next generation console and game when the previous generation game looked better. Not good. So they apparently they got ran through the ringer on that. But then again, half of it is people that will never buy an Xbox just to bash on something they don't want other people to like, I guess. I don't know. I still don't get how this stuff works. Kind of like the review bombing we did last episode. I don't know why people do this stuff. It makes no sense to me if
They're
you hate
bored.
something. Seriously.
Like everything nowadays can pretty much be chalked up to they're bored.
It's all tribal lines. I mean, from politics to your gaming console, really? You know you can have more than one. We have one of all of them. And computers. And yeah, I know it's expensive. I didn't get it all in one day. I'm not like, you know what? I got an extra $10,000 to spend. It didn't cost that much, but still. It doesn't make any damn sense it's console wars. The console war thing has been going on since the Nintendo and Sega back in the early 90s. And it's always been like this pitted war, and then Player 3 entered the game with PlayStation, and no one thought that would work. And then, of course, Sega got knocked out because, the Dreamcast wasn't that great. It wasn't a good... They'd made a lot of mistakes before Dreamcast came out, though. With let's see, there's the 32X and the Sega CD, all those peripherals.
Maybe if they didn't make up a whole new system every other year and just focused on the shit that they have, it would be a little less annoying.
Well, right now, though, it's usually, in the old days, it was about 5 years between consoles. And now I think it's been even longer. They've actually managed to extend the life of each console generation by, I think they're usually 7 or 8 years now. It seems like it's been a while.
I think technology's kind of slowed down a little bit.
Right. And now it's come down to, like, with these new consoles, the graphics aren't going to look as different as they do, like this generation to next. The graphics aren't going to look that crazy different. It's kind of like PCs. PC gaming has kind of plateaued at a certain point, but what changes is what you can do internally with the software, like the ray tracing on lights, so that you have ambient light inclusion and all these different effects that make things look better. The intelligence of the AI, so it can actually be smarter. The things that can be done in the world with lighting and texture mapping and all sorts of stuff. The size of an open world. There's a game coming out on the PlayStation 4, which I'm forgetting the name of. But basically, it concurrently runs two versions of the same world, like our version of the world and like the other side version of the world. And you switch between those instantaneously. Like, it just melds because it's actually running both worlds at the same time. And that's technology they can do on the next gen that they can't do on this gen because it would make your system explode.
Oh, I'm just old and it just feels like it's happening too fast. Okay.
Yes, it's you're old is what I'm getting
okay.
at. Is you're old.
Okay,
but no,
thank you.
It's always been like that. Like, the Nintendo went from 84 up until I want to say 88, 89 when the Super Nintendo came out. No, it had been early 90s. SNES release date. Now I'm getting my timelines mixed up. Yeah, November 21st, 1990. So they went from 84 to 1990 from the NES to the SNES. And of course, that's the dawn of video games because the NES pulled everything back from the brink of disaster after Atari tried to kill us all.
How did they do that?
When the Atari 2600s in the late 70s, early 80s, they had no quality control on their gaming. So their market got flooded with shit games. Like the old one you hear about, the E.T. game that they buried out in a desert in Arizona because they had tens of thousands of extras that nobody wanted, which turned out to be true because they actually dug most of them up a couple years ago and found them. It was like finding the Lost Grail for video games, which was pretty cool. But yeah, Atari, they let the market get saturated. And also, another problem was with things like Pong. You know, Pong was one of the first video games, but when it came out, there were so many variations of the same thing, like on the consoles. Like the machines themselves that played Pong they didn't have cartridges, but there were hundreds of all these companies all got involved in making this stuff, and it flooded the market. It confused people, so they would buy ones that were subpar, and of course no internet at the time, so they all suck, and it actually almost destroyed the video game industry, and it stalled out hard until scrappy little Nintendo comes out with the Nintendo Entertainment System in '84, I think it was, and kind of revived the entire industry all on their own. And later on came Sega, and then PlayStation, and then Xbox, and now Sega's out of the loop because they no longer make consoles, but they still make games, sort of. They don't make a lot of really great ones. I think Phantasy Star Online 2 is probably one of their biggest ones, and we just got it, and it's only been out in Japan for 6-7 years. So, but yeah, it always happens. You have, as technology improves and advances, you're going to get new consoles. In this generation, having the Xbox, they had the Xbox One X, which was kind of like a cell phone upgrade. It was a halfway point. I don't know if that's something that is viable, because I think it's still a $400 system, and the new ones are going to be $400 or $500 systems. So I don't know. But as for the games that came out, they did Halo. There's a whole bunch of others. A lot of them they're not console exclusive. The biggest one I think would be Fable, which people have been dying for. It's the fantasy game where you pick if you're good or evil. First one was good, second one was okay, and the third one was the reason it's been like 10 years since the last one, even though people have wanted it. But the most amazing thing, I have to say, of all of that, and I've seen a few people talk about it, but it's not getting a lot of press, is how awesome the Xbox Game Pass is. And this is the thing where, you spend, I think, $10-15 a month. I think it's 15 if you do PC and console. And every game that Microsoft is responsible for making, and they own over a dozen studios now, because they were getting their ass kicked so hard this last generation by Sony. They went and purchased all these amazing studios. And now when those studios release a game, if you have Game Pass, you can play it day one and not have to buy the game for $60, or now in the next generation $70 for $15 a month. And we're talking like how Sib and I have played Gears 4. So if Gears 5 comes out, which it will eventually, we can just, download it on the computer and play it together day one as soon as it's released. Or when Halo comes out, you just play it day one. Or when Fable comes out. You don't have to buy it for $70, and it's a monthly service. And I think it's seriously one of the best for gaming, at least. It's definitely the best bang for your buck. We spend that much for an MMO on ESO monthly, and it's just the one game. It's crazy that they're able to actually. I don't know how their money making policy works with this. If they make just having enough subscriptions actually outdoes having all these people maybe or maybe not buy a game. I have no idea, but it's super cool. I'm totally stoked about it. And I'm probably way off in the weeds on this one, aren't I?
We're just listening like everybody else.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's good. The Xbox Game Pass is good.
Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
Good.
So, but yeah, but to go back to the thing like with the console wars, I don't get it. It's a lot like most things. It's like people that like World of Warcraft and hate ESO, they just have to bash on ESO. It's a garbage game. It's completely dead. It's why? Why do you care? It's the same thing with the consoles. If you like PlayStation, fine, play PlayStation. It's an awesome lot of great exclusives like The Last of Us and Ghosts of Tsushima and Spider-Man was, those are just some recent ones. God of War. And Xbox, okay, Xbox doesn't have nearly as many exclusives this last generation. They kind of dropped the ball. I think Gears and Halo is about the only two I can really think of. I know there's a few others, but they're at least working on that problem. But it's that whole tribalism of I like a thing and you don't, so what you like is dumb.
No, and you know what? I think it starts young because my boys, both so far, the two older ones, have gone through this. And when they do, I hit them over the head with a hammer. Well, not really, but with my words.
It's a rubber hammer. It's okay.
Yeah. Because I absolutely hate that when people do that. Even if I hate some kind of music, it doesn't make them stupid for liking it. And
yeah.
I think that's something that somewhere along the line of everyone has a right to their opinion thing kind of went into the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's
because
everyone has a right to their opinion, but their opinion is wrong, and I have to make sure they know they're wrong.
It's like they took that concept of everyone has a right to their opinion to discount scientists, to pretend that math doesn't exist, to quote, and it's funny because I don't want to go into the weeds too, but when I was babysitting years and years and years, well, a very long time ago, we'll just say that, I had a daycare center with kids. Well, yes, only kids. And there was this little boy. He was obnoxious. And I had to watch him pretty close because, I'll tell you that the other lady that helped me would put him in the crib and say, "Get used to bars, child." He was
just like Back to the Future. Every time we take him out of the crib, he just cries and cries, so we leave him in there. Better get used to these bars, buddy. Uncle Jailbird.
Yeah,
Uncle
that was
Jailbird.
but yeah, that was we would say, get used to bars, kiddo. He would bite people. He was just a I mean, it wasn't his fault. You should have seen where he came from. But nevertheless, he was a little monster. And when he got older, and I watched him for several years, so I got him at 3, and I watched him till almost 6, and then he went to school. Poor teachers. And they were playing on the really old not Xbox. What was it called? With the Nintendo with the Mario World.
That was the SNES. The Super Nintendo had Super Mario World.
Okay, it was not the one that I played on after that. It was the one that was before that. But anyway, It was Mario, and they were playing Mario, and he did something, I don't remember what. And I was standing there, watching the two of them play. And he basically reached up, thunked the kid in the head so that he'd break his concentration so he could win. And I watched him do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I watched him do it. And so the second time the kid turned around and was like, hi.
Yeah.
So I was standing right there. And he turns and he looks at me. And I was like, why did you do that? I didn't do that. Okay. I was standing right here and I watched you do it. No, you didn't.
So what you're saying is he was one of Bill Clinton's lost love children.
I think that there's this, somewhere along the lines, we let that slide.
Right, instead of being
that mindset. Them. I did not let that slide. And he ended up losing his Nintendo and ending up having to help me clean the kitchen. He was very bitter about that. Now, mind you, what can a 5-year-old do?
Right.
It was dunking
but
things.
But
it was the idea that he had to help me.
5-year-olds grow up into 20-year-olds.
Right. So I, did something and let him know I was watching. You're lying. And now, because you've lied to me, you don't get to play Nintendo anymore. And I've noticed that a lot of these kids were never given that correction.
Yeah.
Because they will look right at you when you tell them, I have it on video. No, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same concept, I think, when it comes to that kind of stuff.
It's like I was saying, like the Bill Clinton thing. I mean, it's a half-hearted joke, but I mean, it's he was so smooth that you don't see me. I am not in front of you. I can see you. You're right there. No, you don't.
Or like Trump saying something on national television, and then 2 weeks later, I didn't say that. Literally, the whole country watched you.
Masks don't do any good. Everyone should wear
masks. Don't do any good.
So it's the same concept, though. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. That somewhere back in their formative years, somebody let that little moment slip away from them.
Well, and another big part of it too, because now, back in the old days, the console wars were me and my buddies just giving each other shit because we were face to face. Like, one of them had, I think only one person I knew actually had a Sega Genesis. The rest of us all had SNESs. But it was a rivalry thing, and we like, no, your game doesn't look as good as the what was it, Spider-Man Revenge of Carnage. It looks better on the SNES than it does on the Sega Genesis. And what are we gonna do? We're still friends. We're face to face, and honestly, we played each other's games regardless, even though the Sega Genesis was garbage and it was a 3-button controller that felt like a big, fat, wet turd in your hand.
Noted.
Actually,
not that you're awkward.
Not that I'm biased towards the SNES, which I have a
mini
of
in
my living room. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a superior console. It's clearly just better. 30 years later, still having that argument. But now it's all on the internet, and people, they don't have that. You're not talking to somebody face to face. You're learning this.
It emboldens people, yeah.
Well, and a lot of it, and nowadays too, the kids can have that moment like you had with that one kid, Jazz, and that moment then gets completely erased the second they get online because they see all these other people doing it and all these other people getting away with it, and the videos and things like that where just bashing on people left and right for clicks and for baits, for clickbaiting and all that stuff, and it undoes all that. The things that they learn, if it's the really dark part of the internet. It's one of the most amazing inventions humankind has ever done, outside of Miracle Whip, which I love. They're comparable. Don't laugh.
Okay.
It's better than mayonnaise. Like garbage butter. But they unlearn all they learn all this horrible things, and that it's okay to be able to talk to people. And then you see it like this lady that the customer at Staples that just pushed over and broke an old lady's leg because she wasn't wearing her mask properly under her. The old lady had her the thing where her mask was under her nose.
Right.
And this lady starts screaming and yell at her, and the lady tells her, holds up her cane because she's got a cane. She's an old lady with a cane, and this chick grabs her and pushes her down and breaks her leg. And in a Staples.
Wow.
For
what?
For what?
Yeah,
because
it's ridiculous.
And you getting in her face and screaming at her was way worse than if you just moved on and let her breathe out of her nose. I mean,
look, I think we can all. I get it, and when I see that, I'm like, okay, so they want to endanger everyone, fine, but I'm not going to confront anybody about it, and I'm just going to roll my eyes and keep moving.
Well, and like with them, with some of that stuff, you never know with some people. Some people, like with was it emphysema, the smoking thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
They put. I've listened to a doctor. He had an old lady, and her heart rate was 190 over 70 something. And he just take off the mask because they were. And it's like, okay, I have to do stuff.
Or wear your oxygen like you're supposed to when you're in the store.
Yeah, something. Well, and I don't. Think, I don't know all the details, but it's just like people have. There are some reasons. Some people are just legitimately stupid and don't realize that the nose is part of your breathing apparatus.
Yeah, no, they really don't. I had a conversation with someone who didn't think that it was connected.
Yeah,
so,
legitimately, it's you don't know. And then on top of that. I didn't mean to get on masks here when it comes to the console wars, but it's basically the same thing. People.
It is. It's just people finding something to
die on. I'm gonna die on this nipple hill. That's what I'm dying. Yeah. I'm dying on this nipple.
Nipple hill. I think that people are so desperate to be in power and to be in control of a situation that they will any number of our idiot main issues.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, you can't make anyone do or say or think what you want them to. It has to be their choice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm sure you were going to say the same. You just have to let people make their mistakes, and it's sad, but you're not going to change anything. And all you're going to do is upset things, and it's the same thing with like we have people who come here, my kids' friends over the years, and they, we have one of each, and of several generations, so we have a lot of these machines all around, and we play all kinds of games on various ones, and they're just like, how did you end up with all of them? Well,
over the last
why not?
25 years, that's how. Yeah.
Buy one, then you buy another one, and you just,
yeah.
We bought them used, most of them, but yeah. To me, I just like, why are we arguing about this? Let's just have both, because after the first year and a half, you can probably buy them used for nothing. So
yeah, especially the older generation ones. Yeah. So actually, well, let's go ahead. I mean, we didn't actually plan on it. We do have you actually can, if you are on our Discord, be part of the show, like Ericus is.
Hi, Ericus.
Hey. Good afternoon. I didn't know what part of your show you're at right now, considering I got a little buffer 10-second window for each time, so I don't know how delay I came in there. So, but no, I made it in. So
you're in.
All right.
You're like a 1990s hacker. You're in.
Woo!
So what's on your mind, Ericus?
Oh, just talking about like the next gen of how consoles came to be and how things were back when I was a kid when they came out. Like during Christmas, how I always wanted like PlayStation 2 was the next big thing there. If I want to continue playing the games I like and follow my favorite franchises, where everything's just jumping ahead on the next console, I'll just have to like beg, plead. I hope I've been a good boy, get it for Christmas this year. And yeah, I remember specifically, I was like pretty much bowing to it. They're like, "Oh, my PS2, thank you for coming to our home." And
in the name of the controller, the memory card, and the the twisting logo, PS2 thanks you. I forgot about that. I remember the PS2 had. Yeah, remember those? That was the PS2 still had that was before the internal hard drives, so you had those little memory sticks.
Oh yeah,
the 8 megabyte memory card.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
8 whole megabytes, Ericus. What could you possibly fill up? How many games would you need to play to save files and fill up an 8 megabyte memory card? It boggles the mind.
It was definitely a mind twister. Oh yeah, jeez. It's like I have to get more memory cards. I have to buy more.
I think I had 4 of them.
Make a sacrifice. All right, it's been great seeing you around. Spiral 1, goodbye.
Right.
Spiral 2, come on in.
If I remember right, I think I actually got a third-party one that it actually had buttons, little like rubber buttons on it, and it was the equivalent of like 10 of those little memory cards, and it was not easy to use at all. it was janky as hell.
Oof.
But yeah, I remember those days. The PS2 was a good system too. That was the first one I think you could do. Yeah, that was the first one you could do vertically. You could stand it on its edge.
Yes,
and
yes.
it had that the big blue base. Yeah, that's a good.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think later on, I don't know how long ago, but they did like a slimmer version, like a smaller version.
The PS2 Slim.
Yeah, I don't know if they came a name for it or not, but yeah, it was. I remember that time too because my PS2 had to go in a shop. I forget what the problem was. It was during that time too where Star Wars Battlefront 2 came launched, and like I got the game, but I have no console to play it, and not much friends to borrow those.
No.
So I'm like, oh my god! I even been entering contests just to see like online, see if I can get like a chance to win the game and everything. There, I was so obsessed. I was watching the trailer during my schoolwork in grade 8 there over and over. I was so obsessed playing with, I want to play Darth Maul, do all these moves and everything. And oh my god, it was tenacious once I finally got it. It's like, yes, now I can, me and my brother can finally play together and fight over it and make holes in the walls if we lose. And
how lovely.
Yeah. That's why we
like boys.
Yeah, that's why we had to move our game system to the basement, or not a lot of people can go and see the holes from the upstairs.
Yeah. So. It was, okay. So just to make you, now how old do you feel? That came out October 26, 2000.
Yeah, year 2000. I was in grade 4.
Yeah.
In that year.
Okay, now to make you feel really old, you want to know how strong it was?
I think it was that heavy. I could carry it around pretty good.
No. I meant like power wise.
I know what you meant.
Yeah. The chip was 294 megahertz.
Oh,
megahertz, not 32 megabytes of RAM. All 32 of them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was their biggest machine too.
And it was chunky. Yeah, it was. But it's amazing to go back. Think about that. That's 20 years ago this year. We're not even a full 20 years. We still have to get to October 26th to be a full 20 years away from that. And this 32 megabytes of RAM, 4 megabytes of EDRAM, that's 20 years ago. And this was a top-of-the-line console when it came out. It was about as good as you could get. And it retailed for $300 in the U.S.
Yep.
Yeah.
Compared to the things we got today, But yeah, I don't know. I always find the evolution of technology fascinating. And that's why, going to what you said earlier, Jazz, about it does seem like, it's like every 2 years. But, the PlayStation 2 came out 2000. PlayStation 5 comes out, this year. So it's only been, this will be, there's been 2 consoles after that one in the period of 20 years. So
But in those 20 years, I watched my kid grow up. So
right.
I think it's just that
so
I'm
fast.
old. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, because you watch, you have the one and then your kid's 10 and like, oh, they're great. There's a new one. Wasn't it just yesterday I bought one? It's like, no, he was 2 when that happened.
Yeah. Jason has had that conversation with me on more than one occasion about something when I've been like, we just did that. Honey, Zach was 5.
Yeah.
Really?
That was a decade ago.
Yeah.
the one that really gets you is when you're like, Bush was still in office. Holy shit, was it that long ago? When was that? Like 1950? Was that when?
Yeah. Feels a long time ago.
So you were did you participate in the console like? And yeah, that's it. That's how the show ends right there with the Zelda death sound, because for some reason all the recordings I had for the show cut off like the last 10 minutes of it. So you didn't miss much other than us just jacking around and joking and doing the show like we have been the entire hour and 6 minutes before it decided it was no longer going to record. Even on Twitch, it just cuts off right there. So don't bother looking for it. No point. You never know with technology. You just never know. So this is a post-recorded ending, just so the fact that I can thank everybody for listening to this fantastically, wonderfully edited show with nothing but the best and brightest mind. Of course, keeping everything on track and running smoothly, except for the part where it doesn't. But so we appreciate you guys listening to us. Remember, twitch.tv/CraftsWhileLoading. Go there, click on the Discord channel, join our Discord. Go over to Twitter @CWL Podcast, where we have a whopping 1 follower. Thanks to Scribbles from the Defend the Night MMO, who absolutely did not remind me that I had forgotten to actually sign up to Twitter, and then just forgot about it. Even though it was linking episodes every time they were posted, I did not forget, and he did not remind me. That is not how this went down. So now if you go there, things will actually happen on it, because I didn't forget about it at all. Yeah. You believe me? This is my trustworthy voice. You can do it. And as always, music is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/Husky by the Geek to hear all his latest in video game rock covers and original music. And yes, and even though I post-recorded it, I could have actually said that smoother and edited it. But you know what? You know what you're getting with the show. Later.